person whose first album purchase was way too cool for all of us. It was the White Album. I bring you Jamaal, montasser.
Great. So, I'm Jamaal from Engineers Without Borders. If you would like to learn more about us, please visit our website at www.ewb.ca. So, Toronto is the most multicultural city in the world, according to the United Nations, which, of course, most of you already know. Around half of the residents of the city are born outside Canada. And still to this day, many immigrants that come to Canada choose to settle in Toronto. My parents actually moved to Toronto in the 1970s after their country was partially ravaged by war. And they realized that with the little English and little money they had, there was more opportunities here in Toronto than in their home country for education, jobs, and to start and build a family. And when you go outside in Toronto, you see this mosaic of colors, languages, and cultures of people from all over the world who have come here for opportunity. I think it's that idea of opportunity that has yielded this multicultural city we live in. And I think it's something we can be proud of, that we're a multicultural city. But I think we can also strive to be a global city. And I think we can be a city that's aware of our impact outside our city borders, and we can consciously minimize those negative effects that we can have on communities outside our city. So one way we can do that is by becoming a fair trade city. So who's heard of fair trade or has seen this? So for those of you who don't know what fair trade is, basically when you see this logo on a product, it basically certifies that that product is fair trade, which means the producer received a minimum price for that product, the environment was safeguarded in the production of that product, and the producer also received a social premium which they can spend on schools, healthcare infrastructure, or other infrastructure in their community. And I also hear about, I hear a lot of conversations about local food now in cities. And I think local food is about building and increasing the economic, environmental, and social health of a particular area. And I think fair trade fits very well with that for products and commodities we can't grow here. And the idea of fair trade isn't actually that much of a fringe issue anymore. So companies like Cadbury and Starbucks are using quite a bit of fair trade products. Cadbury, for example, has all fair trade dairy milk chocolate bars in the UK, and that will be coming to Canada this summer. And the idea of fair trade towns is actually not that far-fetched as well. This is a map of the UK that has almost 400 fair trade cities and towns. Guess how many how many Canada has? 1. 8. So we are obviously very behind. And it's rumored that Vancouver could be the first large city in Canada to be a fair trade city. So what does it take, of course, to be a fair trade city? Well, first, City Council has to have a resolution that they will only use fair trade coffee, tea, and sugar, and other products when available in municipal meetings and offices. As well, a committee would be struck that has a member of City Council and is largely made up of community members, so that we can actually get restaurants, cafes, community groups, space groups, schools and universities to start using fair trade products in order to get a minimum number of those using fair trade products to meet the criteria that would make us a fair trade designated city. So I think the implications of us actually becoming a fair trade city are pretty significant. It's not only that we have a positive impact on farmers overseas, but it's that we're signifying to other top-tier cities in the world that it's possible to become a fair trade city and to actually play an active role in the world. And it's an institutional recognition of the idea that we Torontonians actually can play an active role in the world and choose to have the type of impact we want in the world with the decisions we make. I want to finish with a quote from a farmer who we worked with in Malawi on a coffee cooperative. He says, "We recently received fair trade certification, so our customers all over the world can be confident that the price they pay directly benefits our smallholder coffee farmers here in Malawi. Our cooperative will invest the fair trade premium that we now receive back in the community through investment in education. You will help our community to develop and build our own hospital, roads that are passable year-round, and staff schooled with highly qualified teachers." And I think that brings it back to the idea of opportunity. And I want to throw the question to us as Torontonians. What role will our city play in increasing or decreasing opportunities for those vulnerable people who are afflicted by poverty everywhere else in the world? Thank you.